I would separate those two.
I don't see the Waterfront Activity Center as a goal. I see it as a
Action item?
action item.
It is on the action items.
Right.
Okay, so we could take it out from there then.
And Carolyn, just wordsmithing here, I just feel like when we say include safe and efficient outlet access points, it makes it sound like our access is unsafe. So I don't really like it used in that way because our outlets are safe. We don't have we're not having a major safety issue. Yes, we want additional, there's groundswell to have an additional outlet.
Well,
but-
why don't we say rather than safe and efficient, when we say additional outlet?
Yes.
Okay,
Okay, that's fine.
include additional. That's a good point. Access point for boaters throughout our canal systems. Okay, and then
I think that even is an action item.
Yeah, I would say so too. Is it
It's
under
not,
there?
I think
It
achieving.
is on our
goals-
action list.
Yes.
So
Well-
I think that to leave it as, it's
Then
an
just
action
leave it
item.
down there, that's fine.
I don't
Okay,
think-
so we do have the goal then, achieve status as a waterfront destination for land and water visitors,
Period.
period.
Yep.
Period.
Yes.
I've got a question about the activity center as an action item. Maybe kind of define, I know we've talked about what that looks like, and we've kind of really all got behind the sailing program at the Bayfront Center, really wanting that to blossom, and I guess I was really hopeful that we would get more, that we would have more information or more would be happening there, that it would be really, really apparent what we needed for an activity center. But I don't really feel that. I don't, the sailing program's kind of there, it's not very big. The boat club's there, it's just kind of there. I don't feel like a great need is there to be filled. Let's put it that way, because I think it's just kind of happening. So as an action item, maybe working with Team Punta Gorda, Mariners Group or Boaters Alliance or something, so that then maybe they can define what they feel their needs are, because they seem to be the ones behind really having that activity center.
This was initiated, if you recall, it's part of our 1% sales
Right,
tax.
yes.
And it wouldn't have happened at the end, and I
Yep.
think that the idea was we could move it up now because we're anticipating some funds. So
Sure,
that's where we
sure.
are. But I like your idea. Yes, Nancy?
Well, I brought this up back in maybe January, and I think it's consistent with this particular item down here. What we've allocated the $75,000 for was actually to design it, but I agree with Kim. We don't even know what it is. We don't even know what the need is. We don't know how it would fund itself. We don't even know how to make it work, who would run it. So my suggestion at that time was, and I think would be to really do strategic planning around it that would include a business case, so that, and I'm sure that Team Punta Gorda would be willing to.
Maritime Committee along with
Well,
Boaters Alliance?
I know that Team Punta Gorda would be willing to help lead the planning effort that would include the Punta Gorda Boaters Alliance and any boating
Everyone.
groups, everyone. That would be a very open process that would help identify what the plans for something would look like.
What the
And
need
include a
is.
business case, and, because there are a lot of waterfront activity centers in different cities around the country that people go to. There's sailing centers and all kinds of things. And, well, how do they make it work? And,
Well, maybe taking up on that then,
So-
perhaps what we should do at this point in time is eliminate the 75,000 and just initiate planning for a waterfront amenity
Yeah.
focused on
yeah,
community.
I mean, this isn't the design. I think
Yeah.
before we design something, we need to know what we need to design.
Agreed.
And
And I think this
Need.
was,
What's our need?
Yeah, what is
and
the
I think
need?
because it was put at the end of our 6 years, we were assuming that in the
Well, by the time
period we got there, we would have had something.
this gets a nice plan put in place, so then we know what it is we're looking for, all the things we need to include the boat club in the process, include whoever wants to participate in the process.
Tom, do you have a comment?
It's a project that has charrette written all over it.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Okay, but we're keeping the action item, we're eliminating the funding on that one.
You know,
Let's-
if there's numbers to be put in there, Howard's gonna write them in.
Well, I would like to change the wording on it. It says initiate planning. I would like to say strategic planning, including a business case for a waterfront amenity.
Oh,
I don't know if we need a business case at this point in time.
Oh, I do, and I'll tell you why. Because we have a lot of people who come up with these ideas of what we want to see happen, and we're still gonna have a lot of people come in and put a plan like, it's a dream. But how are you gonna make it work? I mean, that's what Kim has run up
We
against.
won't know until they bring us a plan. Maybe if somebody gets us a plan and we can look at that after the fact and see, look at it from a different context. I don't know if we need a business plan right now.
For 2016, this is our 2016.
yeah, because then they're gonna say, okay,
All right.
city, here's our
Okay.
plan, develop a business case for
Okay.
us.
This a lease that brings
I'm
us to
willing to acquiesce
1922.
and say, let's do the strategic plan first, and then we can, then a business case to follow. But I definitely feel that we need to look at the business of it, because we can come up with all these dreams, but
We-
who's
we-
gonna
We would, but I
operate it?
wouldn't want to preclude anything because we initiated it, we made a business plan part of the planning.
And this is, again, 2016.
16.
Right.
We have
No,
one
no.
year.
Right, right.
Right,
No, no,
A
right.
lot of
you're
other
right.
things on our
You're right.
agenda.
Right, and we're not gonna design for a while, so, okay.
Okay. All right, so we're now on page 17. Let's go to the top.
We didn't go through all these, though.
No, we didn't.
No, we haven't. That's why I say page
We gotta jump
17, we'll
down.
go back to the top.
Yeah,
Okay.
Sign me up when you do your field trip to Belize.
Do we,
well, really, we're on 16 with the team.
under, well, we kept in there the business-friendly community because we're going to bring you that and we'll see where it goes.
Okay, good.
The downtown amenities, central business district amenities. We have a suggestion that we focus efforts on Taylor Street.
My problem with that is the benches are fine. If we have money for the rebricking, I don't know if that's been looked at. The trash receptacles, I don't see a problem, and the more we put out there, the more we have to maintain, the more we have to have people out there going to, you know, empty them. If we don't have a real problem, I wouldn't just want to put random trash receptacles around that now we, you know, we have to spend money maintaining.
Well, we can take out everything in italics. That's easy to do, because we have kind of it up above. But do you want to focus our efforts on Taylor Street?
It is, I think we need to. I mean, Carolyn Thun keeps bringing it up to me. It's Taylor Street gets a lot of activity of people walking from the event center down to the restaurants, down into the more central business district. And that's an area that's still the old red, they're not even pavers, what are they, like
Yeah,
a,
we haven't gotten to that block yet,
and it's really,
that particular,
it's
Where, which one?
right there in front of Spa One.
in between,
and Caldwell
Oh,
Bay.
in
okay,
between
okay.
Olymp,
Right, right.
Marion and
Yeah,
Retta.
that is a little shabby
It's
there.
shabby.
We haven't
and-
gotten there yet.
Is there agreement to focus on Taylor? Yes?
Yes.
I would definitely.
Yes?
All right, I'll take out the italics.
Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it is a little shabby.
I mean, I feel like we're getting nitpicky now, but I guess if. I
It
mean,
is
it's-
kind of that side of the street, because you have the nice
It
side
is
of
a
the
little bit.
street where,
Mhm.
you know, the empty lot
It's
is.
stuff-
The
it's stu-
empty lot side is really nice,
Well,
but
and
the
the-
other side.
The roots of the trees have caused the bricks to get all disheveled, and so, you know, people trip
Yeah, you
and,
can leave it in there, that's fine.
so.
Explore a fixed route transit service.
No.
That could be pedicabs, or it could be horse-drawn carriages, but I don't know that we, as a city, need to
We got it all
establish
out
it.
there.
Yeah, that's private enterprise.
That's private
We've
enterprise, so
approved it. It's
I would say
approved.
encourage, I could say encourage, but
Didn't we do an ordinance allowing it?
Yeah, the
Yes.
guy
So
was
we're
ready to go, and then he
go.
moved out of town.
Took
okay.
his horse and left.
So can we take it out?
Yes.
He
Yes.
wrote his-
Replace the welcome to historic Punta Gorda signage with more historic design and material.
I do think those signs look a little shabby myself.
Where are we now?
On this welcome sign, that's kind of,
Welcome
I
to
think
historic,
all of our
stuff.
signs are looking a little shabby.
they're looking tired.
can we?
Except for PGIs.
Yeah,
have
they
new
look really
signs.
We can we spruce those up? Do we have, we can,
Keep it in there,
You want to leave it in there? We'll do
let's
it.
spruce them up.
especially these over here.
Explore a different wayfinding signage system.
Didn't we just do that?
Yes.
No, well, no.
That's for the
Let me tell you
pathways.
let me tell you what this is. I've talked to the people in Mount Dora, so I can fill you in. This is, their CRA has an issue where people have moved their shops into different side streets, and people couldn't find the shops. So the CRA put in 15, what would be sign poles, and they developed these sign placards that are probably, they look like they're about like this, this big, and they're blank signs, and then for $75, a business buys a sign, takes it, it can go have whatever they want put on it as far as their business name, their logo, and it's kind of like directional signs where you'd say, Punta Gorda's this way, Tampa's that direction. Well, this is the same thing, only it's for shops. A particular business is only allowed to have one sign, and there are only so many signs that can be allowed on a pole or a post. And,
Does it look good?
well, if you go to Visit Mount Dora and look at their website, there's a street scene, and you can see these very colorful posts.
Do we want to keep it in for 2016?
Well, here's the problem. That's the least of our concern.
The problem is, we are surrounded by state highway,
There you go.
and we've got Marion, Olympia, and the 241s.
Can we leave it in or take it out?
Take it out.
I would take it out. I think it's something that we could certainly look at
Okay,
as a possibility.
okay.
I mean, as restrictive as we are on our businesses, you know, we need to be cautious too about how much we put out there.
Well, this would be for the businesses, which.
So we
you
can't
know,
control what
I
they
know.
put on it.
But this
We
is
know that.
FDOT right away.
Right,
It took us how many years just to get what we got?
right. I do like the idea of exploring the wayfinding signs. I mean, we saw the sign that they brought, if, you know, they all should look alike, whether it's for the pathways or for the
Why-
city center.
Why don't
or-
we leave in here and say, explore Mount Dora's, business wayfinding to see if
Well,
there's any.
you're
We
going to
are.
Mount Dora anyway for, as part
And
of the
we're gonna-
marketing, so why don't we just leave it at that?
Yeah.
It's already in there,
Okay.
okay?
So we taking it out?
We're
Yes,
taking it out.
take it
out. Okay, take it out.
Here. Establish a sister city with Punta Gorda, Belize. This came up 2
Last
years
year.
ago? Because I know, Bill Albers was still mayor at the time, I recall. So that came up, again, a number of years ago with Punta Gorda, Belize. And the question is, what do we gain from it?
We looked into it, we went onto Belize's website, I think, and we decided we didn't want to be a part, a sister city with Belize, so I don't know where we're going with it. I mean, there's a Punta Gorda in Cuba also, I've just found
Well,
out, maybe
there-
we want.
Take it off.
Take it off.
Locate a performing arts center in the city outside the purview of the school district.
That would be wonderful.
That would be,
A big girl.
I would like for us to keep this, probably for, not necessary to locate it in 2016, but I would really think that we should explore that as an opportunity for whatever funding, whatever opportunities that might come in the future. I really do believe we need our own performing arts center, and it could be a combination of a lot of things.
Well, we're gonna be discussing what we're gonna ask the legislators to work on our behalf, maybe we could get some money from.
I think we have a
I
lot
think
of,
it's a big undertaking for the city. Because, I mean, we really count on the county for a lot of those major services. I mean, we don't really have the structure.
Well, that's.
That's why the school
That's-
board has what they have. I mean, but
Yes,
I don't
Tom?
know how many city resources I want to throw at that.
Okay, Tom?
There has been some discussion with possibly the event center being upgraded acoustic-wise to accommodate some events over there. That's something that could be explored with the county, I guess, if we think that there's an opportunity there.
Well, I just see it as something that we should,
I think it's future. more
Well, it
than-
is future.
It is
I just say
future.
you have to begin somewhere. Do you want to begin in 2016? That's the question.
I don't want to see city resources at this time being spent on that. I mean, if the groups want to start coming up with,
And I think they are. I mean, can't this just mean that we're for it and we're beginning our?
Encourage,
Or encourage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
could
think
encourage.
Let's encourage.
Yes,
just so that people know that this is something that's,
goes under arts and
It's
culture.
important.
okay, encourage.
Encourage.
I can live with encourage.
I can-
there you go. Maybe Fishville will put one in,
Would
right?
have taken up the whole space.
Okay, increase code compliance efforts to encompass a more proactive approach to waterside as well as street side issues.
I don't see them. I don't see them.
We don't have enough code enforcement people to do that.
There is a process, but it's very limited.
Well, and I don't know how we can police all the canals. I mean, we have miles and miles of canals. I don't know how we
Right.
can police that. We don't have the staff to do that.
No, I mean, really, they're busy just looking at the canals and the safety of the canals, let alone looking at all the
Right.
code issues.
So.
Take it out.
Take it out.
Take it out.
Mhm.
Develop plan to enhance Ponce de Leon Park amenities and incorporate Peace River Wildlife Center needs into plan design. I think that we said that's where we're going, so.
Yeah, we already made that decision.
We're retaining that one. We have initiate strategic planning for a waterfront amenity focused on community and visitor voters.
Yep.
Establish a plan to provide additional shade trees throughout the community. Tom, this was one.
I think that I would like to see us look into it. I know it's a very difficult and formidable task, but if there's a possibility that we can come up with a plan, I'd like to see us explore it.
I like the idea. I think we need more shade downtown. People don't shop downtown because it's too hot. And they're not going to be on our sidewalks because it's too hot. So if shade trees are a possibility, or perhaps awnings or something else that we could encourage our businesses to do, I would really support that. So want to keep that?
Yes, and even at the Veterans Park, I know when we have our, Veterans Day and that type of stuff out there, it's so hot, there's not enough trees
Yes.
right there. I mean, that's a perfect place to start.
Okay?
Yeah, that is. I was, immediately when I read it, I was on the city's beautification committee when we had one, and we used to have a budget that would allow for a homeowner to put 2 trees in the front of their house, whether it would be a palm or an actual tree. You could
That's
pick.
that was a wonderful opportunity to get
And
it at cost.
it was like a 50% cost, so it was a match. That budget went away when the city started cutting back, which was one
Well,
of the.
why don't we keep
so-
that in there?
Keep
We
that
might be
in.
able to do some kind of a new match. I like that. Establish initiatives to engage our community's youth to work together to ensure a safe, drug-free environment. I recommended this because we keep talking about our youth, keep trying to maintain the safety in our community, and it's nowhere in our plan. And I just thought we should at least incorporate it into our plan.
And we are, we
We
have
are doing.
we have our drug-free Punta Gorda, we've started our DeFi program, we did sign up an additional 20 youth. And we are starting to have events, dances, and stuff at Cooper Street.
So maybe
I
establish might not be the.
Continue.
Right.
Continue. Yes,
Continue.
Okay. We have one more.
What, it says engage out communities, youth?
It should be
Oh,
our, not out.
Yeah, it's a spelling error. I got that. We have one more.
Yeah, I'd like to know how you all feel about the South County overlay. For over 10 years, we've been trying to get the county commissioners to come up with some kind of a plan to adopt an overlay for South County, and it's gone nowhere. So I was wondering how you all feel about putting it in on a ballot in 2016, to have the city vote on it. Of course, it would be a non-binding referendum, but it might make a statement to the county commissioners that it's something. We've been on Facebook with it. We've had a lot of feedback from the folks on Facebook that they don't want it to go away. So in the absence of not being able to generate the momentum that we need to make it happen, maybe a citizens' initiative on the ballot might make a difference.
That would
Just
be an
wanted to
idea.
throw it out there.
I don't know what that cost. Do we have any idea to get it on the ballot?
Referendum, what does it cost?
I don't believe it would cost to add something to,
A regular election
Mhm.
ballot?
I can
What if we
confirm
don't
that
have an
with the-
election? What if we don't?
well, for 2016, it's the county's
Okay.
election, and so there's already a ballot. We'd just be adding a question.
Okay.
You're adding a question, we would need to then educate people on what it was about.
You would have to do that, yes.
That's true.
Well, we'll put it in as an action item, and you can decide later whether you actually want to put it
How
on
about
the ballot.
explore the possibility
I like that.
Okay.
of a non-binding referendum
Mhm.
concerning the South County overlay?
And would we need an ordinance before we initiated something? Well, if we were exploring it, we would find out if we need an ordinance.
Okay. We will bring to you at the next council meeting the final.
Yay.
Is that it? Did we
That's
finish?
it?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
We did
Or
that. It's
Brad.
only
There has to be
12:24.
more.
Or Brad.
Thank you. And thank you to everyone that helped contribute to our strategic planning effort, and again, as far as action items. I think that our strategic plan has helped support our initiatives. I mean, we have moved forward on so many things with regards to our strategic plan. I think it has served us well. And I'm pleased that we are continuing, and we'll probably in about a year or two need complete revamping, maybe, but
I think,
Doing good.
yes, some of it, when you read over, seems a little
dated.
outdated. Yeah.
Outdated.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, we just completely redid it a couple of years ago.
We did.
We'll do it again.
We
We'll
did
do
it.
again.
Well, it doesn't have to be 2016.
We'll do it
We're
again.
just saying.
Website.
Yes.
Dun, dun, dun,
Oh,
dun.
goody, goody.
I gotta stand.
All right, let me bring up my,
We have members of the committee coming in.
Welcome, welcome.
Here they come.
ding. Brad Schutte, IT Manager. It's my pleasure to be here before you today to present the results of the design phase of our website redesign project. It's been a steady road. As was mentioned in citizens' comment earlier, it's been a good group of people. We've worked really well together, and it's been a lot of hard work. But I think the results you're going to see show that hard work has paid off. Our website redesign team, I just wanted to say my own thank you to all of these people for the hard work that they've done. We started off as a group with a lot of different ideas and a lot of different concepts of what we expected. And over the course of the time, I think we've been able to work ourselves to, we're all facing the same direction. And it's a tribute to just the effort that they all put forth. And I did add on here our name of our Vision Internet project manager, who has also worked closely with us and been extremely helpful in bringing us the last bit of the journey to this point. Just a real quick, I wanted to touch on the process that we've been going through. If you look at this slide, in the bottom left, it says where organizations spend most of their time is looking at the visual and the technology elements. And realistically, this was a slide we showed very early on in our process. What they should be looking at are the communications and content strategy and the information architecture. And so we made it a point that the design of this site was coming from that direction. So it's the functionality of it, the how we expect it to build out is very much based on the service it provides to the citizens of the community. We want a website that's going to give them access to the things that we can provide for them online, not just a showcase for the departments of the city where they have to dig through information to find what it is that they're going to find useful. So that's been part of what's driven us through this process. What you're going to see today is just the concept of what we call the landing page or the home page. It's a two-dimensional. We don't have anything built behind it yet. We're still working on that content. That's the piece that we're working on now. As you can see in this timeline, that puts us about halfway through the whole process of building the site. The strategizing, the planning, and the design of the main page really sets the tone for everything else. But it's very important. That landing page had to capture a lot of information. In working with One Community, One Message, we did want it to be something that incorporated the various aspects that they wanted to hold up, while at the same time we wanted to make it clear that this is a government website. This is not a tourism website. It is not an economic development site. But there's aspects of it that are going to play in all of those areas. But at the same time, we want people, when they see this site, to go, wow, I want to go there. Or to leave with, there's a lot more there than I thought, so that they'll then explore those other avenues as well. We don't have to be completely, non-pretty, for want of a better description. We can use that in the site, in this landing page. The pages behind will be more functional than pretty, but this landing page is what's going to make the first impression and going to leave them with the lasting impression that they take away from the website. The strategy that we used, I've already discussed that. Just that we want to be able to strengthen the web presence and services we provide. We want to show that Punta Gorda is a vibrant community that has a lot to offer, that we are a progressive government that does a lot that gives our citizens the ability to do a lot of interaction with us wherever you are on whatever device you're using. That was something that was very important to us. That we want everything to be organized well so that people can easily find things. And as I said, we want it to be service oriented. These are just a list. I'm not going to read through all of it, but we called these the ables. We wanted it to be able to do all of these things. We want it to be a site that's going to continually improve. That's one of the benefits of making this the choice we made of purchasing the content management system as the base that we're building the whole website on, as opposed to paying a designer to just design the landing page and the concept. The content manager is going to allow us to spread the development of this site out to all of the different departments, and everybody's going to have a much smaller workload, while at the same time going to be able to give it that much more attention to keep the information fresh, to keep it up to date, to keep the current things on the site so that people are always aware of what's happening. With that, this is where we started. I think one of the first votes that we took when we were talking about what we wanted to see on the new website was no green. We sort of got a little bit of an overdose of green here. It's not that it was bad, but it's one of the things that's going to help us to signal the change when people see the site and it doesn't have that strong green background. So what I'm going to show you next are 3 conceptual designs that were presented to us by Vision Internet. There are many elements in these designs that are interchangeable. So it's not that the first design is stuck that way, the second design is stuck that way. If you like the way that the Punta Gorda is presented on one, but like some other aspects of the third one, we can interchange those parts. The main thing that we want to do is make sure that this page meets your requirements and meets what you hope our website's going to look like. So I'm going to go through all 3 of them before we comment, and then at the last slide has all 3 on it, and we'll be able to then drive comments from there, and I can go backwards if you want to look at them in more detail. The first concept, and another thing that I will say, the site looks slightly different on monitors versus projectors versus tablets. Sometimes the graphics comes into play. But in the overall, we wanted a site that was going to carry itself across all of those different forms of presentation to where it looked as close on one as another. And this was another factor that went into the design that we picked here. This design, if you notice the top left corner, it uses a Punta Gorda, a block text Punta Gorda logo like is found on the One Community, One Message brochure. that can be, again, things can be made thicker, things can have some shadow put behind it to make it stand out a little more. Those are the kinds of comments that we'll want to collect as well. This one uses pictures on the bottom left side, the left and right side. What you see here is how this website will appear on a large monitor, something that gives you some area on the sides. On a smaller monitor, you're going to see more of that center block of information. The left sides aren't going to be as visible. But we didn't want it to just be dead space. If you go back to our site, if you look at our site on a big monitor, there's a lot of dead space. That green that's all the way around the edges. We wanted that to be filled with something that would be a photograph or a picture or some kind of a representation that's going to, again, promote the more pictorial elements that we wanted people to get a message from on the site. So in this one, we used 2 different photographs that had been turned into like sketches. We don't want them to be overbearing. We want them just to be subtle background, but something to fill that space. On the second design, we used It's Happening on the Harbor logo with the swoop over the top to present. And if you look on the left and right side, we used larger silhouettes of sailboats and a tarpon jumping out of the water to fill that space on either side. In all of these, there's that footer on the bottom that's going to contain just the basic contact information. That's constant through each one, all 3 of the different sites. Then finally, the third design, instead of the black text, we used the white text with the Punta Gorda, and we went with a silhouette that basically fills the whole bottom part of the page, and it represents all of the different elements that we discussed as we were talking about how do we represent the entertainment and the recreational side of Punta Gorda while still keeping it as a government site. And we like this because it has the bicyclist, it has a representation of our parks, it has the fishing, it has the boating, it kind of captures all of those elements into this nice little pictograph at the bottom. So that's the third design. Now, in any design that we pick, the big picture in the center is going to be a rotating set of 5 pictures. And it's going to, in every 15 seconds, we haven't decided exactly what the measure will be. It'll be either every time the page loads or every time that you come back to it, the picture would change. We can also set it so that every 15 to 20 seconds that picture rotates. There will also be little arrows that you can barely see that will allow you to change those pictures yourself if you want to click the arrow and page through the different pictures. So underneath the picture, again, these elements stayed the same on all 3 designs. We have the calendar, basically that writing is a little bit smaller, so I have to pull my glasses out. The meetings and events, which is our calendar on the left-hand side. The center with the round picture is an in the spotlight. That picture we can change to be whatever we want it to be. That's whatever the city is highlighting at any point in time, something that we want to really focus people on. That's what we can put in that in the spotlight section. Underneath it is our latest news. That's what's going to give them what are the headlines, what are the things that are happening. They'll be able to click on that, of course, and go to a page that has many more headlines on it. We'll be limited because of space as to what can go on the main page. But again, the main page isn't where you want them getting information. The main page is where you want them branching into whatever it is that they're looking for on the site. So it's not so bad that it doesn't have a huge amount of information. And then that right-hand column, that's our services. Those are the things that people are going to want when they come to the website and they want to pay their water bill, or they come to the website and they want to look at how to get a permit. The things that they're going to immediately want to get to, those services are going to be listed on that right side. We've taken a stab at establishing the first 6, but that's going to be something that we can change as we realize that maybe there are other things that should be highlighted there instead of what's there. So those elements We'll start out with whatever we finalize on, but they'll be editable as well. You notice the one that's orange, what that does is that shows you when people scroll through the list with their mouse, when they touch one, it's going to change to that orange color to indicate that you're on this choice, and you can click on it and then it'll take you into that item. So that's just, and the same on the left-hand side with the meetings and events. As you touch those different with your mouse, it'll change from the green to the blue. That just gives you an idea that that's the one that you're touching. That's the one if you click, that's where you're going to go. Across the top, the menus again stay the same on each. And we came up with just the home, which is going to take you home, about, which will give you historical, demographic, other information about Punta Gorda. Government, which will give us a block. And as you hover over each of these, that picture is going to be replaced by what we call a mega menu. That's the technical term for it. But it's going to be a big list that shows up in that square where the picture is, that lists what all of your choices are, and allows you, again, to be able to be very specific about where you want to go. Our goal is that people will never have to click more than 2 or 3 times to get to exactly the place in the website that they want to get to do whatever it is that they want to do. So those bigger menus at the top will allow us to be very specific about where they can go from this main page. So government will be everything government-based. It's not going to just be a list of departments. We're thinking of it from a services standpoint. We created in our last meeting a list of all of the services we could think of that everybody performs, and we're using that list to drive building it up to the subcategories, categories, and the menu choices, so that it again comes across to people when they visit this that we are very service oriented, and that's what we want to drive. The next one is services. That's going to be the main list of services that are specific, that we know that we can take them to in one click. They'll be able to deal with those services. Residents will be information that residents need to know. Trash pickup. We'll be starting as we develop interactive mapping and other things, other ways to give them information about what's going on in the city that's going to affect them. That's where they'll go to get that information. And likewise, the next one for visitors is just that. It will allow them, it'll provide information on festivals and other items, things that we want to highlight for visitors to our site. What are things that are going on within Punta Gorda that they might want to come down and visit, or come down and take part in. It'll also be a place that developers or other people from other parts of the country can go to see what is it that makes up Punta Gorda, what are the types of things that would make them want to bring their business or their development here to the city. So it'll be things like that. And then the final list, I want to, again, that'll be like a quick link. That's going to be something that I want to pay my utility bill. I want to view a meeting agenda. I want to contact, and it'll be quick ways to get to the contact list. So it'll be broken down into those categories that'll again make it easy for someone to navigate through the site who knows specifically where they're going to be able to get to that and get done what they want to get done. So the site, we want it to be friendly enough that people that want to come and wander around it will be able to find their way around, but at the same time, those who come and know exactly what they want to do will be able to get right to it without having to go through that roundabout way to get there. So with that said, I'll put the 3 designs up for you to see all side by side, and I'll entertain any questions that you might have.
Brad, first of all, thank you, and thank you to your committee. Wonderful, wonderful thought process that you all have gone through in terms of coming up with a recommended pages for our website. My immediate reaction is I can't see it.
Okay.
And the second one with Punta Gorda Dark, I can see that. The coloring, again, and I know magazines do this all the time, and maybe it's millennials who love this, light on light, gray print on light backgrounds. I can't see it.
Okay.
I can't read it. And so my main recommendation is whatever you do, make sure that the writing pops
writing
out,
pops.
make sure the you know, your meetings are your oranges, your blues, whatever colors you're using, that they pop out, because I wear glasses, I think I'm okay, I mean, I can read other things, but when the light writing on a light background, just can't see it.
Absolutely, and those are things that are fairly easy to address on
I would think
whichever
so.
design you pick, because the font, there's a number of different ways to make that text pop, and we will pass that on to Vision Internet and tell them that it needs to have that crisp quality to it. So we can do that with any of these three looks. There's ways to make that white pop off the page as well, just with a little bit of shadow, a little bit of a different way of presenting it. So we can definitely take care of that.
Okay, start with our young people.
Rachel? I like number 3 the best. I like the pictograph at the bottom, but I just don't love that color at the bottom.
Okay.
I'm thinking brighter. I mean, our seal is bright. The ombre part at the top, I'm okay with that sunset type of idea. I know you're trying to keep it all in like a color family, but like the bottom to me is like a sage, like a Colorado type of color, or I don't know. It doesn't give me the Florida feel. I think a brighter blue is more of what I'm looking for. As far as the layout, I like it. I like the way you're building it with the services. I think that's, you know, totally different than what we have now. Sorry, Steve Fabian. He's not gonna like that, but I think it's you know, for the general public, it's going to be more user-friendly. Because you see different organizations, they have new websites and they're still not great to use, and that was the whole point. But they're shiny and they're pretty and they're pictorial, and but the bottom, I like the pictograph. Don't love the color.
Okay.
Nancy, yours next, and then Kim.
Thank you. It's a great improvement, great improvement. I asked the One Community, One Message Committee to give me feedback on these. And the majority of the committee prefers number 3 over, and number 1 was the second choice.
Okay.
One suggestion was to make sure the type font's easy to read. I think
Yes.
it kind of goes with Carolyn, that the light font on a light background is hard for seniors.
Absolutely.
And I will have to say, I'm partially colorblind, and it is, you know, makes it a little bit
Yes.
difficult. Although, I understand what you were going for is something yummy, and something that was tropical. And so, I you know, that is good. Another comment was the color scheme and the layout were contemporary, and they like that. One person suggested adding a powerboat on the bottom. They liked the icons, but they said, we're not all sailors. So
I
they
say
said,
that
"Can you
because
add a
I
powerboat?"
actually said that in our last meeting. I said, there's room there for a powerboat. And they're
well,
like, no, you don't
Yeah.
want to go there.
And it's a great use of real estate, because you're right, there's a lot of dead space on our current website, and this really takes advantage of the dead space. And I'm assuming that as you move from page to page to page, that information will still be there.
Yes. The footer and the header piece, everything above the picture and in the footer will go from page to page.
Yeah, I like the fact that we're able to put the new logo on there. Now, one of the things that I know, and talking with Mikhail, that we need to put the word Florida on there.
If you
And I
look.
see Florida is on there. To me, it makes it feel busy. And I don't know, here's a couple renditions of the logo where we kind of sneak the word Florida in there so that it's in where the logo is,
Yeah.
as opposed to having it.
Yeah, on this one, it's hard to see at the top, but there is across from like the middle of the word.
Oh, I see it.
For the audience on the board though.
Oh, okay.
From almost the middle of the screen to the right, behind the main menu is the word Florida in a very faded. It is there, and on a screen it's a little bit easier to see, but that's what she's referring to is we put the Florida into the third one, but they think that it might be busier and we might find a way to put it into the logo.
Put it into the logo somehow so that, and you know, here are just a couple of views, one using, you know, what the font that it's happening on the harbor is in, the other one is using the one that the Punta Gorda is in. I kind of like that one better, but whether or not Florida should be, you know, right here, or it should be just off to the side, but.
We don't want them to think it's Belize
Right.
or Cuba.
Well, yeah, I think it might look cleaner. But that was just a,
We can definitely take
A
that
comment.
feedback back and
But,
see what they
otherwise,
can do.
understanding what great work the committee has done, and totally appreciate the focus on making it easy to find things, because trying to help residents find things right now, it sometimes can be really challenging.
Kim?
I love it. I think it looks great. I too like number 3. As Carolyn said, and Nancy, crisp, clean,
Crisp,
being able
clean
to
colors,
read.
yes.
The white is really difficult to read. Even on a bigger screen, I think, when, you know, some of it's easier. And I just think, you know, tweaking the colors a little bit, or I like what you did with the color scheme. I mean, if you change it, I wouldn't go bright.
No,
Right.
and it would be more how to put the text on there, whether it means making it a little bit larger or
Yes.
just picking fonts that
Shadows.
have a better crispness to them, that when you put a shadow behind it, it makes it pop off the page without taking anything away from the color design. We can make that text pop. That's
Right.
not going to be a
I
problem.
like the black, you know, Punta Gorda, it's happening on the harbor. I don't know if we'd be able to do what Nancy suggested, just because that's a logo and it's copyrighted, so I don't know if we can
right.
really alter that. I mean, you know, you would know that. But I think you did a great job. I love, it just feels, you know, really easy to use. Instinctively, everything is where it should be. For me, anyway. I mean, I just thought, oh, yeah. I mean, just when I'm going through it, it's like what I like to see. Nice, easy to use, everything's right there. I could tell you put a lot of work into this. Good job.
Tom?
Brad, could you show the 3 choices up on the screen again? I prefer the one with the, I guess that's number 2, the top right-hand corner, the one with
The sailboats and the tarpon?
with the black, where Punta Gorda is.
Yes, uh-huh.
Yeah, that one. I like the silhouettes that you have on the bottom of the first one.
Third one.
Uh,
Well, on
No,
this
it's on,
Yeah,
no,
but-
it's on the first.
But here on the one on the bottom, but yeah. I
The one that
understand.
has the silhouettes of the sailboat and the palm trees?
Oh, that's the third one.
Is that the?
Well, it's number 1 on the 3.
Oh,
Yeah,
number 1
he's
on
Yeah,
that. yeah.
number 1 on this page, right?
Okay,
I dropped
and-
it in the top left accidentally.
And next to the palm trees, what is that?
It's the statue of Ponce.
Okay, I know it's the statue of Ponce.
Uh-huh.
Who else is going to know it's the statue of Ponce?
Well, we
I
want
know.
them to come and find out. If they've
I
seen
like
it, then they'll always know what it is. But it was just another way for us to, we thought about how can we represent our parks on the infograph, and we really don't have a feature that would, but that statue stood out as a feature that we do have, that if you've ever been here and seen it, it's something you're gonna remember, and it's
Right.
always gonna have something that you can tie back to.
And when you find it, you'll say, oh, that's why they had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rachel? Oh, I'm sorry,
He's
Tom's not done.
It's not going to be as big as it appears here, that's for certain. The city seal appears to be oval, and
That was just as we dropped the seal in for the graphic, it just, for some reason, it took that shape. We will make sure that it's cylindrical or circular, that won't be, and probably make it just a teensy bit larger, because there's gap to fill there, but it will not have that oval look.
okay, and where you have the, yeah, I'm fine with it, that's fine.
Yes, Rachel?
On the one with the word Florida,
Mm-hmm.
would it be too busy to drop in on the right side? You have like the watermark of the hibiscus on the left, to drop in like the silhouette of the state of Florida over there on the right. Would that be too crazy? Like, because you have the word
we
Florida,
could-
and then you would have like the watermark of the state of Florida there too. I think that might,
Anything, we can look at it, we can ask them to do anything to see how it looks.
You
So
know,
we could put
I
that,
think that's a terrific idea. I mean,
I think
people
that would
looking
be
at the
cool.
state of Florida, they can pinpoint where Punta Gorda is, and I think.
it'll be just, and it'll still be subtle enough that it's not, in your face, but I can definitely ask them to see if how they would do that, and bring that back and show you what it would look like.
And another thing is that we've been asked time and time again, and I agree, that the weekly highlight go on the homepage on Fridays,
Well, it's-
because it's kind of hidden down into a menu. So I think that's one thing that definitely should be there, is the latest, greatest weekly highlight report, and it should be in its own little
Where it
spot.
says latest news.
Yeah, it could be there, or it could even have its own,
We can look for a place to put that.
okay, those are two.
So just to clarify, Rachel, what you were suggesting is a picture of the state of Florida or the outline of the state of Florida with where Punta Gorda is?
Yeah, like
Is
a
that-
watermark like
watermark.
that.
On the
Okay.
right-hand side opposite, the hibiscus is on the left, so in that space on the right side, finding a way to just drop that in, again, in a subtle
I
format.
like that idea
that
too.
would-
that's
Thank you. I
kind of-
wasn't
We can see
quite
how
sure
that
I
would look.
understood.
Yeah,
And
Thank
the
you.
word Florida in her graphic is so small. I think
Yes.
people are gonna miss it. But I like the way you have the word Florida there. Maybe another graphic would really, if it's not too,
I can ask,
if
we
it
can
doesn't
definitely
muddy.
send that.
Just make it pop out a little bit.
Okay. yes, Nancy?
One thing I was just gonna say about the colors, as I'm sitting here and I'm looking at Kim's monitor, from a side angle, the colors look more vibrant than looking at it straight on.
Yeah, it's on-
And,
you can
and
even see
I
the
like
silver.
when I look at the vibrant colors, it pops more.
So,
So I
And
think you
again, we
have to
can
look
ask
at
them
it
to
like that
send
and
us-
see what is it, but it.
to
if you
make
take
those,
the
just
con-
to add a little more depth to that color, instead of making it as a little bit faded, just to bring it out a little bit more, we
It
can
looks like a
definitely, again,
sunset.
ask them to
Yeah,
do
I mean,
that.
if you look at the,
That, wait, now
It
look,
looks
I
like
can
a
see yours.
sunset.
I can't see
See,
mine.
here it looks like a sunset, which is
Yeah.
what you're probably going for.
yeah, if I take this.
We
and I
just didn't
turn
want it to be too
If I
bright,
turn
the
this
colors,
sideways,
but,
then people can kind of see, when you see it kind of at
Yeah.
an angle, you see how the color
so just the
changes
colors get a little bit,
when you go
absolutely can
sideways
bring
like
those
that?
out.
I like
So-
it, what I can see right now, I like. What I see on my
It just has a
monitor,
more-
I can't
it's-
see it
It's
at
more
all.
vibrant,
Right. Yeah, on our monitors, it almost
Yeah,
looks
those
pink.
monitors are gonna, that's the,
but it looked pale on my laptop as well,
yeah, okay.
at home.
That's absolutely, again, when we present the idea, we can ask them to send us one with them as they are, one with the colors pumped up a little bit, and see them side by side, and be able to see if that makes a difference.
Okay,
And
Rachel?
just so you know, number two, that had the tarpon and the sailboat on my monitor, I couldn't even see
Could barely
that,
see
but I
them.
could see it over on Tom's.
Yeah.
So I don't think that really has the effect that you're going for. But it was a good try.
Okay,
Well, that-
Unless we
so,
can approve it.
okay, so we're agreeing on pump up the colors a bit, pump up the letters so
The
that they're,
fonts to be readable.
so that they are clear and readable. I think we have all agreed on this current version that you have up right now with the bottom
Three.
and the, do we want to keep Ponce?
Well,
I
we
think
can make
so.
ponds a little bit smaller and more in conjunction with the palm trees.
bicycle.
Either palm trees bigger or ponds smaller.
Okay. And
Make it-
I like
make
the
it proportional.
waviness. I like the water idea. 'Cause
Yeah.
the others were straight across.
That's what we liked as well, was just that we were trying to, one of the things we struggled with the most is we didn't want it to be a boxy site. We didn't want it to just be square, so that, when we saw this design from Vision Internet, we all kind of gravitated to it because it made that frame nice and textural, it just gave it some depth.
Like the hibiscus there, too.
Mhm.
Yeah, it looks very nice. Any last comments? Yes.
Do we need a pedestrian down there?
Yeah,
Swimming,
Oh, there you go, a swimmer
Anyway,
being caught by the
Dog,
fish.
how
No.
about a dog? Throw a dog in there.
we could go.
Is
we
there
could- we
anything
could
else
go
that,
crazy.
that I didn't summarize?
No.
Okay, brightness,
Okay.
lettering, this option here, and
Hopefully we didn't
putting
hurt
weekly
any-
report on the front.
Yep.
Anything
Okay.
else that we missed?
And
Florida.
In the Florida,
And one other thing that I want to tell you, as you look at this, is about how this is going to look on a phone. I didn't really mention the responsive design piece, but that's, if you look at the way the site is structured, when you take that down on a phone, you're basically taking the site and squeezing it down. So what it'll do is the first thing that you'll see on the phone is going to be the logo, and the top menu will be there, depending upon the phone screen size is how big it'll take. Then the picture, then We haven't decided what order yet, but it'll be the spotlight, the news, the calendar, so everything will just line up right underneath each other and look exactly as it does on the site. If you go to a tablet, as it can spread it out, it'll start to take shape more toward what the website is, and when you're on a computer or a larger tablet, you'll be able to see the whole site. But the experience that you have in viewing the site, the colors will stay the same, the fonts will stay the same, everything will be there no matter whether you're looking at it on a phone or you're looking at it on a full-size site.
Okay.
Nice.
Any other final comments? Thank you.
I
Thank
would-
you to the committee.
Thank you.
Good.
Wonderful.
Nice job. Nice job. Thank you. All right, we're now moving on. I believe we have finished all of the other business, and we have recommendations from city officers, our city manager.
Rather than try and make a decision today, the legislative requests are due to State Rep Ken Roberson's office on October 9th. I will put it on next week, next agenda, September 16th. We already have one of the legislators who led our charge for the RO plan to say we should ask for some more money. So that will be on the list, and we can make that decision at the next council meeting, what our formal requests are going to be. We did well because we didn't have a lot. We prioritized, and we focused on just 2 requests. So, you know, maybe it's just 1 request this year, but we need to focus and turn our lobbyist on that effort. So I'll put it on the next agenda.
Okay, that sounds good. Anything else? from you?
You're going to remind
Yes.
everybody about the budget?
Yep.
Okay.
City attorney.
Brief Shell Creek update. Both Howard and I were contacted by representatives of the county to advise us that the county commission had denied our request for a continuance and our offer to discuss potential settlement, and that they're moving full speed ahead towards the hearing. How they could do that without a county commission meeting, I'm not sure, but yesterday we had the deposition of our witness, Dr. Todd Kincaid, the county's attorney and the attorney for the miners questioned Todd for 5 hours.
Was that via phone?
No, well, yeah, he was on Skype
Okay.
from Reno.
Thank you.
And he did great. His analysis and his conclusions of the impacts to Shell Creek as a result of the mine pit lakes was well defended, and I was very pleased with that.
Who was the county's attorney that was there?